But it was fine, it all worked out wonderfully. We got everything approved. We are bringing Inglewood Schools on as a second partner. We're very excited about that. It's another $300,000 over 2 years based on our financial estimates of what it costs to run the program, because we do pay for some staffing with the program. But 2/3 of the grant goes directly to helping families. We anticipate helping about 22 families every single year. That is going to start on April 1st, so we are kind of starting the process of winding down this last grant and making sure we can spend as much as possible of this last grant cycle. We have about $60,000 left, so we are working hard to spend that last money to help the families that are currently in our pipeline. And then we're going to meet next month with the different McKinney-Vento folks from Inglewood to start the process of how is this going to look moving forward with another partner on. But we're excited about it, the state is excited about it. It's always nice when you've got somebody who's funded by a grant to know that that money is signed, sealed, and delivered, basically. So good news on that front. We had a new housing technician who started beginning of January. She is handling the entire Sheridan caseload. She's fantastic. We're super excited to have her. The tenants that she has worked with so far are more than thrilled with her, so we're thinking it's a really good fit. She actually came to me about 2 weeks in and she's like, I didn't know I love Section 8 and housing. I'm like, that's the right answer. Awesome. So we're really excited about her and her general interest in more than just the Section 8 program. She's really invested in knowing more about housing and affordable housing, and I think those are always great fits for us as employees because we're so small. We have 18 now that we're fully staffed. We wear a lot of different hats and participate in a lot of different conversations that might not be just your program. So I find it really refreshing to have somebody who wants to learn more about the whole housing authority and maybe think about promotion in the future. But right now, wonderful to run the program, so that's great news. We did schedule our yearly financial audit and our Section 8 audit. That is going to be February 27th through March 17th, so 3 weeks of audit fun coming up soon.
Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful little program to run and seeing the impact on the families. And I think I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. The first pot of money was federal money that was passed through to the state for us to do this grant. This next pot of money is state funds. There's less restrictions. We can help undocumented families. And so we're super excited about that because we've had to turn away some families who were not documented. So it's going to be even more exciting, I think, grant cycle for us.
I have a motion from Board Member Kelly and a second from Board Member Whitaker. Any other discussion on the manager's report? Let's vote then. Motion is approved unanimously. So next we have new business, resolution number 1, series of 2023. Resolution approving submission of HUD form 52648 CMAP certification.
So we have not done CMAP in quite some time. CMAP is the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. Did I say that right? Yes. It's basically HUD's way of kind of doing a little audit of the way the Section 8 programs are ran. In 2020 and 2021, this assessment was waived. It was one of the COVID waivers that HUD put in place, knowing that programs were struggling with a variety of aspects. So we were able to carry over the last score we got, which was for fiscal year 19, and carried over through 20 and 21. So now all those pandemic waivers have gone away. We now need to do the certification for 2022. So I think a lot of us haven't heard us really talk about it because we've skipped it for the past 2 years. And for a housing authority the size of Sheridan, we do only have to submit every other year. But if we get a score that's less than high performer is the best rating, we will always try to strive to be high performer and then skip a year. We don't slack. If we only end up as a standard performer this year, which is one of the things I want to chat about, we would definitely shoot for high performer next year and not take the skip that we could take because of size. So this year I do think we'll be a standard performer. I think it has to do with our spending. We're going to be lower than 98%, and we'll lose a few points. So the CMAP, and I included the form in the packet. There are 13 indicators. The 14th indicator for us does not count. We have an FSS program, but ours is not a mandatory program, ours is a voluntary program. So we're rated on these 13 different indicators. Some points are all or nothing. Some are you get 5, you get 10, or you get 20, depending what it is. We anticipate getting full points on everything except for the lease-up indicator. I believe we'll end up between 95 and 98%, which gets us, I think it's 15 points out of the 20, or it's 10 points out of the 20. Either way, you have to be at 90% to be a high performer, and I think we're gonna end up somewhere in the 80s because we'll lose the points. That said, it's not totally unexpected, and it's not bad. I just like to be a high performer, so it's not great, right? So again, we will shoot to be a high performer in 2023, so we'll do the rating again next February. But everything else in terms of the ratings is looking good. We hired an independent consultant. She's actually just called the CMAP consultant, and she comes in and does the sampling and the file reviews to do the ratings for us. So it is kind of this neutral third party who comes in and rates it for us. And she comes every month. And so at the beginning of the year, she always will bring up if she sees any issues. It gives us time to correct them. And again, she's very confident in 2023 everything's going to be perfect, especially with the spending, because you're leasing out more and spending more dollars. But this year, it's probably going to end up standard. We do a lot of what go back to prior periods, and I've actually done worked with our new tech to do a bunch to go back to actually like October, November, December. But we don't have enough prior period adjustments, we shouldn't at this point, to make us bump up to that 98%. So I believe we'll sit at 95% and get the standard and lose the points for not being at 98%. But again, everything else looks good.
Great. We have a motion from Board Member Whitaker and a second from Board Member Hall. Anybody have any questions on the resolution number 1? Let's vote on it then. Motion is approved unanimously. And next we have review elements for new scope of work from Division of Housing's RFQ and your pages and sections cited here.
Right, it's kind of long, and it's not super long, but I know you guys have to read the whole thing. So I shouldn't say every year, every once in a while, Division of Housing puts out a request for qualifications for different agencies throughout the state to administer housing choice vouchers. We don't do that anymore for a variety of reasons, but in their newest request for qualifications that came out at the end of 2022, they have what I think is actually a really lovely scope of work that I think we can build off of to create our scope of work, to have something to refer back to. And again, that starts on their page 6. You know, like everything about it, some of the things obviously we would change. They talk about a little bit in like section 5, when you administer DOH vouchers, you have to give them all the paperwork. I would take that out. I assume you guys don't want all of the paperwork for every voucher holder, right? But we would focus on some of the other higher level things here. You know, we'll do preparing all the documents, do all the interims, do all the annuals, do all the HQSs. I would like to put a section in here about, you know, in the evaluation section, shooting for like high performer every year, things like that you guys I think would hold us more accountable to versus meeting sort of like time deadlines of giving you paperwork by the 20th of every month, right? So a couple of things don't apply. But it also talks about, you know, this administrative requirement in terms of the expenses. I think it's important to outline that we pay for everything. We're paid from Sheridan Housing Authority through the administrative costs that HUD pays to the voucher program. And that's, you know, it's our job to take that money and spend it prudently. To think about staffing, making sure we can pay for all the H2S inspections. And so I like that piece of there. We also do, you know, our financial audit, we report that back to you. I think that's important to keep in the scope of work. Again, it's really just taking out some of that reporting to you of the tenant level data, because you don't need that. I mean, you can decide you want some. I don't think you want to get into the weeds with that, and I think again, by using a staff consultant who reviews our work, by having different other kind of compliance processes built in, we do that ourselves. We can write some of that in. I just thought it was a good template. So instead of reinventing the wheel, this is something we can use and we can tweak a little bit. My goal is to rewrite the entire service agreement because we just have it in like a scanned PDF form, so it needs to be retyped, it needs to be rewritten. Do the scope of work, and then when it comes time, I think in December, we need to re-up the service agreement. We'll have a nice kind of brand new full service agreement with exhibits that exist and a nice scope of work that we can all sign off on to either do another 2 years, 3 years, maybe more, maybe less, but we'll have something to work off of that's current to what we are actually doing for you guys, for running the program.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. So my thought for the next meeting is I take what's in here, take the points that I think are relevant, and actually type something up for us, right? And start having drafts of that service agreement and the scope of work to look at. So then come December, we're voting, or November, voting in on a finalized document. And that sounds far away, but it'll be next week.
Yep. Sure. Great. Well, thank you. It sounds like a lot of work, so I appreciate you keeping that on.
It's nice not to reinvent the wheel, so finding
Yeah.
this was really nice because I was thinking of different points to put in, and this helped me think about, okay, this is what works really well. And the DOH, to me, they have a really fantastic Section 8 program, and Catherine Helgerson, who runs their program, I often ask her questions because I consider her a Section 8 expert. So I think the things they produce, I feel really confident borrowing to create new documents from.
Great. Okay. Is there any other feedback you want on that right now, or?
It depends. If you guys have feedback now, great. If you wanted to look it over and, shoot me an email or something, that's fine too. We can look at it again next month and you guys can give some feedback for April.
Yeah. I don't have anything at the moment, but I don't. Sounds good. At least we'll be making some progress. Okay. So you don't have anything to vote on in that one. Do you need anything else from us?
Nope, just signatures from you.
Okay. And we will adjourn the Housing Authority meeting at 6:30 PM and go back to our regular work session.
I think that's a time record for me.
We didn't even get told to slow down, so pretty good. Next up tonight, we are talking about the bonsai economic agreement.
Sorry, yes, Mayor. And what I want to do is get everybody to the correct place in your packet. So if you go to your regular council meeting packet and go to that resolution where we're approving that agreement for the bonsai redevelopment project. And it is resolution 7. Get there, 8. Sorry, I gotta get there on my computer. Okay. So, when you get there, it starts off with a memo from Andrew. And I'm gonna have Andrew and Josh speak to this in a little bit, but, and they can cover everything that I forget as we go along here. But I wanna walk us through the document itself. Because this is a new format for us, and just want to make sure that council understands the document and everything that we're talking about in there. So if we go into the document itself, that's page 30 in your packet. And we page down, my computer work here. To Exhibit A, Economic Incentives Agreement. We can go past the definitions and get into some of the incentives themselves, which is in section 2, beginning on page 33. So to take a quick step back, what this is an incentive package for the bonsai redevelopment project. That project, and Josh and Andy will speak to that in a little bit, is an affordable housing project based over here just off a federal property that was the old bonsai nursery property. The developer is Medici, and they are going to be the owners and developers of that property. And we negotiated with the staff level with this agreement and bring it to council tonight for your review and consideration. So getting into the incentives, there are different kinds of incentives that a city can do when they're talking about this kind of a project. And primarily, what we look at doing here for our agreement is a number of fee waivers and also some tax reimbursements. Now, what we can do on an administrative and as a council level, waive taxes, right? So you can't come in and say, oh, well, you just won't have to pay that use tax. Now, anybody who comes in to our city and builds something has to pay the use tax. If they have a business that's selling something, they have to pay the sales tax. The cities can do is negotiate an agreement whereas they refund or rebate the impact to the current taxpayer. So no taxpayer in Sheridan is paying out of pocket for any of this agreement. So what these to review and provide comments back to applicants as part of the development review process. In this case, we're looking at waiving that fee that would have been estimated at $8,500 for this project. And we're looking at basically review fees for the projects for the site plan and the final plat applications. And we've already done the final plat application, remember, that one of the previous meetings. The next fee that we're looking at waiving would be the building permit fees. This is, let me see, make sure I read the right thing here. This would be the building permits for their 4 buildings, buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a community center that would be part of the site plan. And then based on the estimate of the project at this point, that fee, those fees would have been $151,397.90. So just a little bit over $151,000 for those fees will be waived. The next item that we're looking at working with them on is the Excel Energy 1% Fund. This is a nice example of a benefit that the city can help out with. As part of the project, the developer is going to be looking at undergrounding some overhead power lines. And then as part of the city's franchise agreement with Excel Energy, they have what is called, it's in our franchise agreement with them, that we have a 1% fund is what you'll hear it called. What that is that Excel will take 1% of the franchise fees that they'd be paying to the city, and they escrow those into a special fund that's to be used as matching funds for any undergrounding projects. So power line undergrounding projects that you might have. We're looking at part of this, or tapping into our fund for that to help them out with undergrounding, and that would be in the amount of $329,123. And again, this is a great opportunity to help take an expense off of their plate on this. We had no other anticipated needs for these undergrounding funds at this time. It's amazing how it sounds like a lot of money, over $300,000. That will barely do their section of their properties that they're looking at. So it doesn't do very much, right? This money doesn't go as far as you would hope it would go, is what I'm trying to say. You can't underground the whole city with this. You can do generally relatively small projects. And so that money escrows and builds up over time, and then we can look at considering using that for various projects as well. And this is an excellent opportunity to be able to use that. And then we have also a fee waiver. The next one in the agreement is looking at any future funding, so the maximum fee waiver incentive, this would be the total aggregate amount of the fee waivers that may accrue. So everything that we talked about on that on fee waivers itself would be $159,897, almost $160,000 in fees that we would want to waive for the project. And then if you go down to 2.5, which is the next portion in here, that's the main part of what we're looking at for the reimbursement here would be the use tax reimbursement. In this, again, we said we can't waive taxes. We have to make sure the taxes get submitted, collected, and then based on those, then they can come in and apply for a reimbursement for taxes that have been paid towards this project. That's set at a maximum amount of $534,317 and change. So a little over $500,000. It's the biggest part of this agreement would be the use tax incentive. We'll go down a little bit more, a few things else that I want to point out about this, and then I'm going to turn it over to Andrew and Josh, and they can talk about, again, anything else that I missed, or I know they have some additional information that they want to make the council aware of. We have some timelines, so if you keep paging down in your packet, 3.2 talks about when the project needs to be started, which is April 30th, 2023, coming up just here shortly. And then the completion of the project has to be, is anticipated at December 31st, 2024. Okay? So that sets the time frame of the projects. Now, get into 3.4 and 3.5, we start talking about some of the affordability requirements. If we're going to waive all these fees and rebate these taxes, we want to make sure that the project is what the developer says the project is going to be and what we're approving. So it sets out what are the affordability requirements, and you've heard us talk about this on this project several times. We're looking at 100% of the project of the 149 units there would be affordable, and this lays out the requirements that they would be between 30 and 60% of the area median income. Okay. It goes into operational requirements that says that not only shall it be operated at those affordability levels, it has to be that way for 15 years. Okay? If for any reason that the project were to say be sold or is no longer operated as an affordable project, then this long section of 3.5 and 3.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes into there. It's basically a prorated schedule of the fees and taxes that are part of this incentive agreement would have to be returned to the city if it is not operated as they say they're going to operate it, which we don't anticipate at all. But when we're guaranteeing these kind of monies with fee waivers and especially with tax reimbursement, we want to make sure that we are safeguarding the taxpayers' money on this. So that's what all of these things are saying. I'm not able to go through all of this breakdown for like 2 pages that goes into what amount of monies would come back to the city if it does not complete the 15 years as an affordable project. Did you have a question, Sally?
No.
Okay.
I think it got,
Okay.
everything is standard.
Okay.
The 15 years and then anything after that, whatever can happen, if it's selling or whatever.
Correct. So the guarantee, and this is fairly standard types of. Yes. Yeah, and so this is fairly standard types of requirements that we'll have around affordability or affordable housing projects. You don't want to make it, you can't really make it in perpetuity, but you can guarantee it for certainly a decent amount of time. Let me see if there's.
15 standard?
I'm sorry?
Is 15 years kind of the standard?
I don't think this necessarily, Josh can maybe speak to this, or Andrew, I don't think it's necessarily standard, but I've seen 10 years, 12 years, 15, 20, things along those lines like that, yeah. Let's see if there's anything else I really wanted to point out in this before I turn over to you guys. It goes on about they can sell the property, however, it needs to be maintained as an affordable project if they do sell it, and lines out those kind of things, and a lot of the rest of this goes into just boilerplate of the agreement itself, setting out some of the liabilities around that. Exhibit B, if you page on down and get to Exhibit B, there will be some affordability covenants that outline what the requirements of the property will be, and this gets filed with the county and runs with the property, just like any other property covenant. Probably of interest to the council in here is you go down and item number 6 of that covenant spells out the occupancy restrictions, and we're looking at this time, we'd be calling for 75 1-bedroom units, 65 2-bedroom units, 9 3-bedroom units for a total of 149 units, and again, all of those equal to or less than 60% of area median income. And I think Andrew's gonna talk about, okay, when we talk about 60-30% AMI, what does that mean actually? So we've got some numbers that council can hear about that. And to give them time to do it, I think I'm gonna shoot through here. I think I covered all the main parts that I wanted to in the actual document itself. Did council have any questions about the document before I turn it over to Josh and Andrew? Yes.
Is it possible to put it on these screens too, so everyone can see what we're talking about?
We can try. It's a fairly large document. What part did you want to have on there?
I don't know.
Because we wouldn't be able to do much more than a page, or even that would be legible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just whichever page this we're talking about.
The page 48 of our packet.
Okay. We'll see if we can get that up there. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna turn it over to Andrew, Josh, whichever one you guys wanted to go first, and, or if you did.
Well, good evening, council. I don't have much to add to what Devin was reviewing in terms of the agreement. The only other thing I would say on kind of like the period of affordability of the 15 years, I think you see a lot of those that are kind of proportional to what the city's actually paying into it. So, you know, it's a little over $1 million, all said and done, but it is a $25 million project. So it is a fairly small percentage of what the city's contributing toward the overall project. So we felt that 15 years kind of made sense on that front. You know, you might see with other cities if they're doing loans or things that are in the millions, like multiple millions of dollars, they might want to have a longer period that it's to be affordable. The other thing I would say is, you know, it's not to say that after 15 years we couldn't extend that or renegotiate things. I think we've seen with some of our affordable projects in Sheridan, specifically like the Sheridan Gardens apartments, you know, I think they got their light tech credits back in the early 2000s, and after about 15 years you need to do some renovations to a property, so they had to come in with a pretty sizable renovation permit, and you know, that's kind of the time they could negotiate, you know, again, if we want to waive those fees for additional work to the property, what would that agreement look like and how long would we extend it for? So it's always subject to negotiation in the future, but we felt that was appropriate kind of for where we're at today. Not too much to add beyond that. Josh did provide a chart of current AMIs, area median incomes, and rents that are considered affordable for Arapahoe County. So that's what will be used for this project. So I think what was provided was for 2022. And I'm sure there's a 2023 chart out there as well, but it just kind of gives you an idea of, you know, what somebody would be making, what a household would be making if they lived in this development, and then what they would be paying in rent. So those are all set, you know, requirements that they're not able to go over. So typically, you know, they could probably charge less than that, but this is what you would expect to see. Happy to answer any questions or turn it over to Josh. Yes.
I mean, this seems like a great deal.
Mhm.
What are some of the benefits for Sheridan on this whole city of Sheridan community of businesses?
Well, as we all know, affordable housing is in short supply in the Metro Denver region. When you look at the studies, it's really where it's really in most short supply is the 30 to 60% AMIs. So if you see a lot of these projects in Denver right now, they're really looking at 60% and up, just because it's, you know, more expensive, like sub-market to build in if you're trying to build this in like Lodo or somewhere in central Denver. So they are charging 60%, 80%, sometimes even up to 120%. So higher AMIs, so it's less affordable. So I think it's really great that our project is capped at the 60% AMI, so we're pretty excited about that. I also, you know, just did some like, you know, napkin sketch kind of math here about kind of what does this subsidy work out to, you know, on a per unit, per year basis for 15 years. And I want to say I came up with like around $450 of the city subsidy per unit per year. You can't build housing for that. So it's a really great deal for us to say, you know, we contributed that much and we're getting 149 units within those AMI ranges for 15 years. It's pretty, you know, pretty well unheard of to to spend that little money toward affordable housing and have that kind of impact. So I think that's really, you know, when I did the calculations, what really surprised me and made it look like a really attractive offer. Great question, thanks.
And we should also point out that we're not the only governmental entity, so the county is also bringing some money to the table. They've committed some ARPA dollars that they've set aside in a bucket for affordable and attainable housing. And so that is being, there is an amount that's being brought to the financial stack for this project from them as well. So you know, it shows a great commitment on behalf of the city of Sheridan as well as the county in the importance of this kind of a project for our area, for our county, for our area, for our city, and really the metro area is sorely in need of this level and this type of housing.
Yeah, there have been a lot of partnerships on this project, I think, as you've heard from the Housing Authority, from the city, really going all the way back to the former property owner who made the decision to sell this property to an affordable housing developer. I think, you know, they could have probably got more money with other land uses over there, but it was something that was important to them. So I think we really just wanted to, you know, show our commitment and participation as well.
And I think it also shows a commitment to the previous ownership of the property. Remember, so there's that whole story that they have, and they wanted something that with a family owned a business and been run on that property for all those years, and they wanted something, you know, positive and productive to come out as part of their legacy of being there and passing that on and trying to do something positive for the community, and this helps them to realize that.
If there's nothing else, I can turn it over to Josh to talk a little bit about the project some more.
All housing work session this evening. Phil. Well, you know, I'm just out. First off, I'm one of the partners in each development with the developer of this project, and we're excited to be here this evening. Obviously, we rezoned the site. That's the planning for the real estate board. And so maybe our first opportunity to talk about what the project's going to be doing, who we're serving, and you know, obviously, have any questions you might have, I'm happy to answer. As I was sitting there listening to the conversation, I'd make two quick points right out of the gates. The first is that the project will be affordable for a minimum of 40 years. So even though your agreement is only for 15, there are analogous agreements with a number of the other funders that Devin just alluded to that extend beyond that period of time and will preserve the affordability that was described earlier. And then the second one was to your question, Ron. So, you know, what was the community benefit? And you know, it's hard, right? There's a lot to it. And one of the things I would point out is that that chart that was included in your packet, really what it's doing is taking a third of somebody's income and saying that's an appropriate amount of your income to spend on housing. So you have 2/3 left for everything else you might be spending on, you know, money on. And for the community, a lot of times, what they can mean is that there's more disposable income for 150 households or 49 that are living here to spend at businesses and elsewhere, or just take care of their families and healthcare and education. And which leads into a second point in terms of community benefits, which is a lot of we see in these projects that we have a turnover rate of about 10% or so a year. And if you look at market rate housing, the number's probably closer to 50%. And so what you end up seeing is just a lot more stability in a rental project. There's just people are living there for longer periods of time than a comparable market rate project. And so I think that we're going to have members of the community that are living here for, you know, significant periods of time, and that have financial stability while they're living here, and can contribute to businesses and everything else, and take care of their families at the same time. So I think that's a great question. I wanted just to add a few things to Andrew's answer as well. The other part is that the other support we've received has been tremendous, and so really appreciate your support. The county has come to the table with a significant contribution. The state of Colorado, we've received tax credits from the state as well as from the federal government, and then we're going and getting a mortgage as well. So it's a very complicated capital stack, but your participation is really tremendously valuable. And it's also one of those things that when I'm out there talking to a state agency, I can say, hey, And we have the city, that's the biggest city, and they're contributing to it. I mean, it really helps me do my job as I'm out there trying to raise money, at a state agency. So it's been tremendously valuable just for the money itself, but also for what it's allowed us to do as we pull together this pretty sizable amount of money to build the project. So can't say thank you enough. And we might be limited on time. I'm so happy to take any questions if any folks have any.
We have about 5 minutes if council has any questions of Josh or staff or about the document, anything along those lines.
Good, thank you.
Thank you for those.
We'll be out there for 18 months, so you can stop by.
It's the finance.
Yeah, ask us questions and not come up to later, so. Well, from a timing standpoint, though, we do hope to close, maybe even this week. We've been working through one last agreement with the county, and I think we're there. We've been, as I'm sure everybody's noticed, been doing some kind of clearing the site, but hopefully we'll get the guys out there in March and start to do some of the work and keep that line under their hundred. And it's seeing a lot of activity, and the first building would come online in about a year, and then they kind of get staggered, and so 12 and 18 months would be the overall time frame for leasing it.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. It's a great project.
Yeah.
Well,
It really is.
And I would mention too, Lindsay's been another partner of ours. I left her out. She's participating in the project, and she's been a good partner. And a lot of those vouchers that are out in the marketplace, I would note, are great value for her program because these rents are lower than what she would be paying in the market. So you actually get more vouchers out into the community. And we end up seeing like 10 to probably 20% of these units will be held by voucher holders once things get stabilized. So that would be in addition to the 5 she mentioned. They'll absolutely be a number of voucher holders. So the affordability mix that we talked about earlier is a little misleading. We're gonna end up serving probably another 24 folks at that 30% level because they'll be moving in here. And it really helps Lindsay as well, because those dollars go further when they're in the tax bill.
And more properties to put people in. I mean, they just have trouble finding places that wanna take section 8. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you again.
Thank you for all this,
Really great project.
we just got 3 minutes. Do we wanna just have a quick break before we start our regular meeting?
I think that'd be great, Mayor. Thank you.
So we'll adjourn this work session at 6:57. Let's plan to start by 7:02.
Yeah.
Hey, looks like the dog and pony show is gonna start again. They don't have a choice with the first 2 on the list.
Okay, there you heard it. We're adjourning for a little bit here. So, try to do the phone the other way, but for some reason it's not sticking. So we'll be watching it this way. But thanks for coming in, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Cool. I'm blind man audits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of gathered that.
Yeah, that's okay.
They couldn't name one teacher.
How are you? I'm good. How are you? Good.
I love seeing all the people here. And I kept my word, there's pizza. There's pizza over there. There's no whiskey, but there's pizza. So don't act shy. There's a lot of pizza up there. Go on and get you a slice.
I think I'm gonna get me a slice. Really? What do we got?
Yeah, that's fine.
What do we got there?
But they'll be back next,
What's that?
they'll be back.
Oh, they will, I agree.
I give them 2 years, get rebuilt,
You think?
yeah.
Mine hold it
Yeah.
down. I'll grab a slice.
Well, they're gonna lose a lot of people.
I got you.
Yeah,
That's too bad.
cause some of them are going free agent.
Okay.
Huh?
Thanks. Yep. Well, taxpayer-funded pizza here.
Hey, but they, like I said,
I am a
they-
taxpayer, so I'm getting some.
I didn't get mad when
I had an inspector come by and check out the house and check out. Did you need car?
All right, and I'll make sure that you get reconnected to the meeting software system again.
Can I ask our interpreter to give an introduction?
Mr. Ziller, are you there? Can you give another introduction for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hello. My name is Gisela, and I'm here with the Community Language Cooperative. And one more time, thank you for practicing language justice. Thank you for getting the people to participate and engage in the language of their heart, the language that they feel most comfortable in. Once we turn on interpretation, you will see a globe icon on the bottom of your bar that says interpretation. If you're not fully bilingual, I ask that you select your preferred language, if it's English or Spanish. And if you're joining us today from a phone or a tablet, it has 3 dots on the bottom of your bar that says more. You can click on it and then select your language. If you're going to be presenting or facilitating, please be aware of your speed, knowing that Spanish takes 20 to 25% longer than English. Hola a todas las personas, mi nombre es Gisela Escobedo y estoy aquí con la Community Language Co. Y quiero darle las gracias a los organizadores de este evento por su compromiso a la justicia del lenguaje. Gracias por dar una oportunidad donde las personas pueden involucrarse y participar en el idioma de su corazón. Una vez que aprendan interpretación, usted va a ver un icono de un globo en la barra debajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Si no eres completamente bilingüe, te pido que selecciones tu idioma preferido. Si estás hoy con nosotros desde un teléfono o una tableta, vienen 3 puntitos abajo que dice más o more, le das un clic ahí y después seleccionas tu idioma. Cualquier pregunta echamos en el chat. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and send an interpretation. Thank you.
call to order this regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council for February 13th, 2023. Time is 7:04 p.m. So we have roll call, please. Thank you. We have all members present except for Councilmember Smith. And get a motion to excuse Councilmember Smith. Motion made by Councilmember Whitaker, and seconded by Councilmember Hall. Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. Next tonight we have the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Have a good one. It's a Valentine's Day prayer for true love. Dear God, help me today to understand what love really means. I need a love that's big enough to include all of us. Big enough for the dating and engaged couples, of course, with their giddy daydreams of a future together, but also big enough for the married folks, whether their passion for each other is still blazing brightly or barely more than a smoldering. Big enough for the singles toasting their independence, and for the singles wishing someone would come along and make that independence disappear. For the lonely and widowed and brokenhearted, I need a love that understands, a love that welcomes in hurt and sorrow instead of excluding them. The love I need more than anything is your love. Without your love, no other love will ever be sufficient. And with it, every other love becomes richer and truer and more life-giving than it could be. We have learned all our best loves from you. The love of faithful friends, of spouses, of significant others, of parents and siblings and children. Love that commits, love that sacrifices, love that lays down its life. You authored each of these loves, taught us how to recognize them and long for them and give them away. Our best efforts at Valentine's Day are just a fraction of the wholeness of love. Today, let everything I see remind me of your love. Let today be a day for love, real love, big love, your love. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any changes to our agenda?
No changes on there.
Thank you. Next, we'll have staff reports. You have for us, Cindy Rock.
No report, Madam Mayor.
City manager. Oh, city attorney, sorry, do we have any updates from our attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have any updates from our office this evening.
Thank you. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some updates I want to make the council aware of. First, I start off with a reminder to please complete the sustainability survey that our sustainability coordinator Mel sent to everybody. So if you haven't completed that yet, it was emailed out to you, and she's done a couple of reminders, so you should be able to find the link. It takes 5 minutes maybe to do it, so please do that. I know that she wanted to try and collect all of those by the Thursday, I think, of this week, so if you could, please do that. A reminder that City Hall will be closed next Monday, the 20th, in observance of President's Day. I'll do that one, I'm gonna do this one last. I wanted to give the council an update on the Tri-Cities Homelessness Policy Group work. We had a meeting the other day, and Mary, you can tell me if I forget anything, but just wanted to touch on some of the main issues that we discussed for that meeting. We had a discussion about the Navigation Center, IGA. So this is, again, for people who might have a question, is an intergovernmental agreement that will be between the Tri-Cities cities, which is Inglewood, Sheridan, and Littleton, regarding the implementation of a navigation center for people that are experiencing homelessness. We are working on that IGA right now and looking at putting together a group to review the RFP that goes out. The group itself, the Homelessness Policy Committee, made a motion and voted to recommend that the cities agree to bring the IGA forward, and that was going to be brought forward through Littleton's process. And that's what the IGA will say as well, is that we agree to use Littleton's process. You know, when you have 3 cities and others that are collaborating on a project like that, and you're going through and trying to do an RFP, you have to pick somebody's process to use. You can't use all 3, and you would never ever get done. So we're going to be using Littleton's process to do that. We got an update from South Metro Fire with regards to some of the efforts that they're making around homelessness. They're seeing gaps in resource navigation, and so they're looking at rebranding a division within South Metro as a public health division. And what they have done is they secured a grant to hire a licensed clinical social worker, and they're also working on getting a community paramedic program put together. So it'll be somewhat similar to our co-responder program that we have with All Health. And I'm touching on all kinds of things that are on your agenda later, right? We have a new contract or contract renewal with All Health for our co-responder program, as well as our, I mentioned earlier, Mel, we have our IGA with Inglewood for her services on the agenda tonight as well. Anyway, so those efforts are moving along well with regards to the navigation center. What else did we discuss on that? Let me find the agenda. The county is looking at putting a new grant program together, and this would be using some of their ARPA monies to augment the HOME program. HOME is a funding program that comes through federal monies that come through the county for the administration of affordable housing and things along those lines that can support affordability. So they are, they just gave us a quick briefing on what that potentially might look like, but they're still got, I think they got quite a bit of work, but it's something for us to keep an eye on to see if that's something that Sheridan might be able to take advantage of. And then we got an update, well, hold on, let me see what else I'm gonna talk about here. Yeah, we got an update, and I'll hand this to council. I'll speak loud. This is our, the Tri-Cities Homelessness Action Plan status update. And so this is, Mike Sandgren, who is our Tri-Cities coordinator for homelessness. This is the report that he puts together that has status updates as far as the action plan that has been adopted by the 3 cities. And I'm gonna go through bit by each one. It's pretty long. It's broken down into 3 years, but we are currently, if you flip towards the back, there's a progress update. We're about 33% completed on the plan itself. About 53% of the items are in progress right now, and 14% still need to be planned and moved forward. So we're making great progress on those efforts. And then the last bit I wanted to share on there, we got an update from Mike, is that, we have been participating with MDHI and their metro-wide efforts as far as looking at their Built for Zero program. So if you remember us talking about Built for Zero, it's a regional effort for the metro area to focus on ending homelessness for vets. And they are seeing really good success on that right now and been able to move pretty good on their form. So they're not yet, but they're talking about what expansion might look like and if they expand that program beyond having Built for Zero for vets. And that was always a plan, was to be able to expand Built for Zero out, to be able to help much more people besides vets that are experiencing homelessness. But we wanted to start with the veteran population and get some momentum going and work on that. And I think they're seeing the opportunity to be able to start expanding those efforts to help for other people besides vets that are experiencing homelessness. So that's good news that that effort is also showing good progress and looking at expansion. I think that's it. Mayor, did you have anything else on that? Because our mayor chairs that group.
No, I was also encouraged to find out that our local case conferencing seemed like they said they had the capacity to move beyond just assisting vets right now. So
Right.
it shouldn't be too long, I wouldn't think, to move on.
Right. Let's see, just a couple more things. Just my schedule coming up, a lot of things that are in the works right now. I'm going to the CML legislative workshop later this week on Thursday, so that'll be an excellent briefing for us that they do each year once the legislative session gets going, and they look at once some bills have been introduced and what are the local government focus areas and what do we need to be aware of, what do we need to talk to our local legislators about. And so it's a day-long session that CML puts on. I'll be attending that on our behalf. I'm also going to be attending the County Homelessness Coordinating Committee Executive Leadership Meeting. This is the county's efforts at putting together a plan like the Tri-Cities have done with regards to homelessness and people experiencing homelessness. So it's great to see that the county, they're making efforts to progress on this as well. And we want to make sure we're supporting them in that. And so I'll be attending their meetings on that, on their Executive Leadership Committee. And then I'll also be attending the Region 9 Opioid Council meetings. This is ongoing for the administration of the opioid settlement monies that have come into the state of Colorado. Millions upon millions and millions of dollars that have come in on opioid settlements and will be distributed through these processes that have been set up with opioid councils across the metro area. We participate, Sheridan participates in this, and currently that effort, and I don't have it right in front of me to see if I remember, but there's 7 focus areas that the opioid council is working on right now. I volunteered to sit in on the co-responder. So they're looking at putting some money towards the co-responder programs, which would be fantastic. Help support our efforts in that as well as others, and be able to expand those efforts as well. So it's a busy week, which is good. The last thing I wanted to mention, 2 things, and I'm really happy to talk about this. First off, Reagan Ivanov has been promoted. We promoted Reagan from his position as the permit tech to the new accounts payable business license administrator. So it's a nice step up for Reagan, and we're glad it'll be great. So we have to fill his shoes now. So we're currently recruiting for that, but it's nice that we get to keep Reagan right there so he can help out. And you were already cross-trained on that, so that's fantastic. The other one is that Andrew has been promoted to Community Development Director for the city of Sheridan. Andrew, as anybody who is familiar with our council meetings, is a frequent participant and has done a fantastic job for the city. And so we're working on finalizing what that new, we haven't had a Community Development Director, it's kind of been me. And so it'll be nice to have a real Community Development Director, and we're working on figuring out exactly what that job description and what those responsibilities, and we're finalizing all that, but we got him on board, and hopefully we'll have Andrew's services to help lead the city of Sheridan for years to come, so congrats, Andrew. That's it, Mayor. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Lots of good news in there. Anybody have any questions for our city manager? No? Okay. Chief?
Just one small announcement. So we're going to be having our next multicultural Sheridan Police Department Citizens Academy. That's coming up March 14th, 15th, and 16th. We're working with primarily right now our Spanish-speaking community, but we are open to others joining. And if we have big demand for that, we'll get someone to also work on that. So I want the city council to know so that we can start getting that information out. So as soon as we finalize all the details, I'll get that out so we can share it with our community. So that's it tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the minutes of regular city council meeting of January 23rd, 2023. Have a motion from Councilmember Kelly, a second from Councilmember Gable. Any discussion on the minutes? Have a vote then. Motion is approved unanimously. consent agenda, authorize disbursements that have been or will be made from January 16th, 2023 to January 31st, 2023 in the amount of $593,523.63 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds. I have a motion from Councilmember Hall and a second from Councilmember Stang. Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, let's vote then. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have resolutions. We have resolution number 6 of 2023. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sheridan and the City of Englewood for the provision of Sustainability Coordinator Program Management Services. Do you want to give us a little background on that one?
I'd be happy to, Mayor, thank you. So this is an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sheridan and the City of Englewood, where we will be sharing the services of a staff member who will be dedicated towards sustainability programs for both cities. And sustainability programs are programs that center around economics, environmental, and equity issues that are really kind of what it says. What do we need to do in our community to make it sustainable, to keep it functioning and ongoing and thriving as it moves forward? So that can involve a lot of different things, as you can imagine. And so we're really happy to be able to partner with the City of Englewood in getting the services of this staff person. And I'll tell you, her name is Mel, and she is fantastic. And she is going to be doing wonders for us. So she's working 1 day a week for us, and then, well, it might not be just quite 1 day, but a certain number of hours for us, and then a certain number of hours for the City of Englewood. Our total amount will be $15,000 a year for her services. This will be a 3-year agreement, so it's capped at $45,000 over the 3-year agreement. And then if we look at moving forward after that, we can consider what that looks like as we move forward, if we need to renew the IGA or make any changes at that time. Mel, as you might have already realized, you were getting emails from her, so she's already started and hit the ground running and fit in really well here so far with the City of Sheridan. We're really excited to have her here, and I think it's fantastic that we'll have a position again where we can coordinate with Englewood on a lot of these sustainability issues, because a lot of these sustainability issues doesn't really care where the border in your city is, right? It's larger types of issues with regards to environment and economics and things like that go way beyond borders. So it'll be nice to have this opportunity to have a person that knows both Englewood and Sheridan. How can we work together as cities to address these issues? So that's what you have in front of you tonight, Council, is an IGA that I recommended.
Questions or discussion? There's a motion from Councilmember Whitaker and a second from Councilmember Daigle. So if there are no other questions, we can vote on them. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have resolution number 7 of 2023, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan approving an agreement for crisis intervention services between the City of Sheridan and All Health Network. Either of you want to give any comments on this one before
I think we both might. So I just want to frame it for folks. So this is, we heard, I alluded earlier to our co-responder program, and the chief can talk about the success we've had with that. But this is where we have behavioral health and mental health professionals that respond with our police officers to certain types of calls. So it could be a domestic violence, it could be other things, where you have somebody that's possibly in distress, either behaviorally, they might be having some mental issues. They need somebody to talk to, or they need somebody to help them that's trained along this. And lots of times our officers aren't necessarily trained in some of the issues that these people are having to work through. So this is our third year of this program. We're working with All Health Network. They provide the personnel that to the co-responder program. They also have some, in this agreement, there's some management oversight, some things around like supervision and case management times. Anyway, the program, and we talked about this, council knows, because we talked about this in the budget, and we put the money aside in the budget for the expansion of this program. And I think we budgeted $60,000, and the cost that we have here is $59,459.05. So pretty good job of budgeting that. It will be covered, and again, I think we recommend it, but I'll turn it over to the chief if you wanted to say anything else about the program.
Just to talk a little bit about the success that we have, our co-responder is vital to our operations now. This is an opportunity to have someone that is trained in mental health conditions that the police we get a small dose of that, right? But we don't go to at least 4 years, 6 years, 8 years of college for it. So having someone else ride around in the car with us, this is one of those programs where we want to continue to adopt so that we don't have to respond to everything as a police officer. We can send the services out. So what we do is we send our old health worker with an officer. The officer rides around, we take calls. If there's any call that may have a touch of mental health problems, or sometimes she just shows up with us on calls and it turns out we can use her services here. But it allows her to be the front person. And once everything is settled and we know that there's no danger, the police officers can step back, making sure that she is still safe, and allow her to work the magic that she can do. It really pays off, especially with a lot of our homeless personnel. Sometimes they are experiencing some mental health issues, and we have services, and we will immediately give them services. But it helps when someone's not in uniform and they're able to see someone else and see us step back. So we are very high on the program. We thank City Council for continuing to support us with that issue. And as we're talking, we'll have another program that we're partnering with the other cities that will help us in this as well. But just wanted to mention that for City Council. I know you're very well what we do with that, but thank you. And for those in attendance, make sure that they understand that we are being progressive, doing all we can to handle and help all the different individuals in our city. Thank you.
And I agree, this is one of our, to me, it's one of my favorite programs we have. I think it's been, just to be able to give people in crisis another option, you know, that the police can't necessarily handle that kind of situation. So I think it's an amazing program, so I'm glad to see that we're gonna expand it, and I'm glad to hear we have the opportunity to expand it even further in the future. Did you want to comment on?
We often think of, homeless being in crisis or someone actually being in a mental crisis. But I had the opportunity, my neighbor, was being notified that her husband had passed. And she, our health worker was there, and she was just so, very kind and gracious and, really, really helped my neighbor. But then also has called like 3 different times in the last month to call and check on her and to make sure that she is doing okay and that everything is still, okay for her. And if she needs any assistance doing, anything, death certificate, that kind of thing. And it was really kind of, I'd not been able, I'd never seen her at work. And I happened to be the person that my neighbor called because I could get there fast to be with her. And so I got to see it in action, and it was pretty impressive. As a nurse, I was very, very impressed. So it's a great program.
Thanks. Yes, any comments? We have a motion from Councilmember Davis, a second from Councilmember Kelly. So we'll vote now. That motion is approved. Next, we have Resolution 8 of 2023, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan approving an economic incentive agreement pertaining to the Bonsai Apartments development project. We need any other explanation? I think we got the thorough one at the work session.
I don't think so. It was the item that we covered during our work session. I'd be happy to answer any further questions. I know that Josh is still here, Andrew is still here, and they're the experts on that, so if they had any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer. But for anybody who wasn't here, this is an economic development incentive agreement that will help an affordable builder to do a redevelopment project for affordable housing here in Sheridan, 149 units. And the city is approving a package of fee waivers and tax reimbursements to assist with that project.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Councilmember Daigle, second by Councilmember Kelly. Go ahead and vote. Motion is approved unanimously. Next tonight we have Mayor's Choice. We just have a few items. I also wanted to encourage everyone to take the survey about sustainability. I did mine. It's not too complicated. It's really kind of free form, so whatever ideas you might have about what that program should look like for Sheridan, there's somewhere in there for you to put those. And to connect them back to our goals, or just free form, kind of whatever you're thinking about. She made it pretty straightforward. So, but I think it's a well-crafted survey. I think you'll find it pretty simple to complete. Secondly, I wanted to bring up that in the Can-Do meeting on Friday, Jim Taylor mentioned that the South Suburban Parks and Recreation District has 2 openings at the May election. So I just wanted to encourage, if you know anyone in the Sheridan community who might want to run for one of those positions, I think that would be a benefit to us. Jim Taylor has been a voice for Sheridan for as long as he's been on that board. He has a heart for Sheridan, so I would love for someone from our community to get on there since he's term limited. So think about that, and all the information's online about that election, the forms to get on the ballot. Also, last thing, at the Sheridan Celebrates Committee meeting last week, we picked our fundraiser partner for this year. So Sheridan Celebrates will be fundraising for the Alice Terry soccer program this year. So that'll be fun. They, Sheridan Rising was gracious enough to donate $4,000 for this year to kick off that program. And so Sheridan Celebrates is going to try to even surpass that for next year and try to have a year, school year long program for Alice Terry. So I'll be hitting all of you up for donations or what you want. All right, council member's choice. Who wants to speak?
First of all, it's great to see so many people here again, and the support, feel it. It's really just great that everybody chose to do this with their time tonight. My name is Jay Whitaker, council member, Ward 2, and I've been thinking a lot about the First Amendment and our moral compass. Our First Amendment rights are freedom to speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and freedom to petition. What I keep coming back to, are there any boundaries? What are the boundaries of First Amendment rights? Without question, the First Amendment has health and safety limitations. Are the freedoms of our First Amendment rights penetrable? Well, at some point, morality violates liberty. Do those freedoms override individual rights? Well, at some point, freedom of speech violates morality. The Constitution, the foundation of our country, establishes a baseline for us to follow. Morality is the determining factor. Where do you sit on the moral compass? Where can you have liberty and morality at the same time? The Founding Fathers believed we would always have a moral compass to guide us through these discussions. And in the spirit of our Founding Fathers, let's have free speech, let's have morality, let's keep the government in check while also maintaining decorum, and let's keep from imposing individual freedoms on other people's rights to freedom.
Amen.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
Any other council members who'd like to speak tonight?
All I know is how to eat that pizza.
been eating it over here. That's
Yep.
good.
Get that pizza. I told you I was gonna bring it. I'm a man of my word. I say I'm gonna bring some pizza. I'm gonna bring some pizza. I couldn't bring no whiskey. But we got the pizza.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna move into public comment, which shall not exceed 30 minutes. I have my list of people who have signed up who are here today. We'll start off with, actually, I can put, we'll have 3 minutes per speaker. And the first person up is Free American, if you can come to the podium.
Hi there. Thanks for those words, Mr. Whitaker. Mayor, when I first was here and you walked in, I said hello to you. Remember that? And you completely ignored me. Acted like I didn't exist. That was rude, man. But just to reiterate a little bit of what Mr. Whitaker says about the founders of this country and the liberties that a lot of us take for granted. This country was founded on questioning authority. Okay? If we didn't question authority, we would still be under a tyrannical English rule, right? So questioning authority is the most American thing that you can do. Okay? But I was actually reading this discovery here on my case, and really, it just upsets me every time I read it, because the only thing that is actually accurate in here is my name and date of birth. So every single police officer, Martinez, Conley, all of them, they all lied on their police statements, their police reports. Every public employee lied. I think that they were coached into saying what they wanted to say by Martinez. But they all said that they were fearful to come to work and that we were posting personal addresses and phone numbers. I've never done that, Martinez. I've never posted your or Connolly's personal phone number or addresses. I don't even know where you live. I would never do that. They're saying that they're getting death threats, stuff like that, which I don't condone. They're saying that my followers are inciting violence on the public employees. I don't tell my followers do anything like that. We do not condone that, but we get our lives threatened too. We were actually told if we show up here that we're going to be executed in the parking lot, so we appreciate you guys bringing in some extra security tonight. But let's see what else we got. Actually, let's just jump right to the good stuff. We actually have some impact statements, some victim impact statements from all police officers, because they're victims of us exercising our rights.
Focus.
And reporting, peacefully, by the way. A lot of the people said that we were here to block windows and we were impeding people from conducting business. Well, we were here peacefully for business. We weren't here to do anything of the sort. But Martinez, he said, the actions of myself and Benson could have dire consequences, and their actions must be curtailed before a deadly encounter is unnecessarily forced on officers. A deadly encounter, Martinez? You are saying that you are going to have to use a deadly encounter on us? It's right here, man. This is what you wrote. For us exercising rights? Can't believe that.
Chief Martinez.
Shut up. Nothing from the audience, please.
Martinez.
Your time is up, sir. Next night we have.
So, as you could probably tell, I gave a different name last time. I gave a different name when I spoke online. For anybody who was here last week, yes, I was one of the people that spoke to you through that TV screen that night. I've never once lied to any of you. The only person on this board that I see that has the slightest thing that resembles a backbone, and he's showing it more and more and more, and I love it, is Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
He's the only one that's standing up for the people. You were elected to help the people. You don't answer to these two, they answer to you. You need to take care of the situations that they're causing. It's funny that Mr. Whitaker brought up the First Amendment. So you have a policy in place, put in place by Granberry, or Granberry, whatever his name is.
Use his name right.
Shut up.
You wanna make me?
Yeah, that's.
Excuse me, no comments from the audience.
Yeah, that's not
I'm serious.
necessary.
You have a policy put in place by him that violates the First Amendment and free press. And you're doing absolutely nothing about it. That is why everyone's so upset, is because he put a policy in place and then had 5 people who were peacefully protesting against that policy. They were here to get FOIA request forms and to fill them out for information that they wanted. And you had officers come in and arrest them for that. One of your officers, in violation of Colorado state law, Mr. Bruce Williams, choked one of the protesters. Chokeholds are illegal by CRS, but don't worry, I've already forwarded that information to the Attorney General along with the accompanying video. We'll make sure that that's taken care of. But I'm here to tell you, I will be at every single one of these meetings until that policy comes down. I will not back down. I will come here every single meeting, and you will hear me every single meeting. He says it's because we don't have the right to film people or the people that work here in the course of their duties. Well, I got news for you. The First Circuit already said, yes, we do have that ability. You have no expectation of privacy in public. Just like I can't tell you to shut that camera off right now. I'm at a public meeting. I have no expectation of privacy in public. The only privacy I have is the privacy I create by not giving you my real name. And he can have his officers go out and run my plates all he wants. Won't come back to me.
We need to ask everyone in the audience, please don't shout out when it's not your turn. If we have time, you'll have time to come to the microphone and you can make your comments then. Okay, next we'll have Indira Guzman.
Hello, my name is Indira Guzman. I live at 4193 South Decatur Street. And I want to speak in the language of my heart, so I wanted to see if we could turn on interpretation. And I'm going to ask the interpreter to pause for me to say something and then for her to repeat it after me. So I may need a little bit more time, just so it doesn't overlap. See? Okay. Primero quería dar gracias por este
First of all, I want to say thank you.
Okay. Quería también mostrar cómo se puede dar la interpretación. He said, wait for me for a second, so I could speak first. Okay.
Yeah.
Quería mostrar cómo se puede dar la interpretación y honrar a la persona que está hablando y escuchar la interpretación también. Okay, go.
Okay. I was like, what? I just want to say how you can honor the person and how you can provide interpretation.
Y también quería agradecer por la resolución 7 del 2023.
And I also want to say thank you for resolution number 7 from 2023.
Esta semana tuve un encuentro con mi hijo y tuve que llamar a la policía. Tuve un problema con mi hijo y tuve que llamar a la policía.
This week I had a problem with my son and I needed to call the police.
Y me conectaron con All Health Network y ya estamos en servicios y es mejor pensar que los servicios que mi hijo está recibiendo van a ayudarle más que si estuviera en la cárcel o en un problema grave.
And I called health and they're going to start providing services and it's better to provide mental health services that for my son to be in jail.
Y estoy también agradecida por la resolución de los nuevos apartamentos que van a abrir aquí. Me emociona ver que ya está la construcción, que ya está limpiando el área.
I'm so grateful for the new buildings that they're going to start building. I already saw the area, how they're cleaning and getting everything ready for the construction.
Y también estoy agradecida por la nueva academia que van a hacer con la policía que mencionó Chief Martinez.
And I'm also really excited about the new academy that they're going to start, what Mr. Chief Martinez said.
Creo que fue el año pasado, tuve la oportunidad de interpretar en ese evento y yo aprendí mucho de mi comunidad y cómo funciona el departamento de policía.
I think last year I was able to participate and to interpret in that meeting. It was really excited how the police is involved in the community.
Y eso era lo que quería decir. Quiero agradecer a nuestro Consejo Municipal por todo el trabajo que hacen.
I just want to say thank you to the City Council, all the work that you're doing.
Se muestra en nuestra comunidad, hay más reflexión de gente como uno, como latinos, en gente de color que está representando a nuestra comunidad y agradezco eso.
And it is showing in our community how people of color, Latino people is showing, and I am really thankful of what's going on.
Y eso es todo. Gracias.
And that's it. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Sheridan Public.
Hello, council. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I just wanted to come up and let you all know how much Sheridan Gallegos, 3788 South Knox Court. I just wanted to thank you all for the work that you've done on resolution number 7. I want to thank Police Chief Martinez for continuing to advocate for the co-responders in Sheridan. I know I work in the mental health field, and I know what an important impact it has in our community, and so I appreciate you all continuing to fund and just hear out what the importance is in every situation where they can benefit. And so I wanted to thank you for considering it and for funding it and all the work that you all continue to do as a city. From the city manager, Devin, I thank you just for continuing to listen in and figure out where there's opportunities for the city to be able to engage in that work. And so I thank you all for the work that you're doing with that for resolution number 7. I also just wanted to thank you for all the work that you all continue to do with Sheridan Inspire and the GoCo funding. My daughter and I had the opportunity to go ice skating. My daughter and I had the opportunity to go ice skating the other day, and something that we wouldn't have done, and we're really looking forward to being able to go camping next week in but somewhere really exciting that I've never been before. And I probably wouldn't go if it wasn't for the opportunity that you all have partnered with that kind of funding for. So I just wanted to thank you again for the research that you all put into making sure that we have opportunities as families here in Sheridan to be able to do great things outdoors and just continue to be able to experience wonderful opportunities with my daughter. And thank you all. You're great.
We have Nellie White.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Nellie Lyman, 3727 South Wingford. And I also want to speak on the language of my heart. So whenever they're ready, I'll just go. Okay. Buenas noches, otra vez. Me da mucho gusto verlos a todos. Sé que los veo durante la semana en algunas meetings o juntas. Pero me da mucho gusto verlos otra vez.
Good evening. It's nice to see you, everyone. I know I see some of you during the weeks in different meetings, but it's glad to see you again.
Y también quería venir aquí a dar, bueno, yo trabajo para una organización que está muy conectada aquí con la comunidad de Sheridan.
I work for an organization that is really connected with the city of Sheridan.
De hecho, casi todos nuestros miembros de la organización viven aquí en Sheridan, tienen sus hijos en nuestras escuelas.
Mostly all of our members from the organizations live in Sheridan and their kids attended to the schools in Sheridan.
Y me gusta traer las buenas noticias, las cosas que escuchamos de parte de ellos, de lo que está sucediendo en la ciudad.
And I like to bring you the good news that they're bringing, the things amazing that are happening in the city.
Una de esas cosas buenas que está pasando en la ciudad es el proyecto de bonsai. Muchas familias que están súper emocionadas con ese proyecto porque ya se están viendo allá dentro de esos apartamentos.
And one of the amazing things that are happening is what's going on both sides. The community or the families are really excited because they're already seeing themselves in the apartments.
Lo que es nos entusiasma mucho que hayan traído ese proyecto, se les agradecemos mucho que hayan hecho eso por la comunidad y por Sheridan.
We are very excited that you brought this project to the community and for Sheridan.
Otra de las cosas también que mencionan mucho es que esto crea un sentido de pertenencia para los miembros de toda la comunidad de Sheridan.
And it creates a sense of belonging for the community in Sheridan.
Los eventos que están pudiendo hacer aquí en Sheridan. Por ejemplo, lo que acaba de mencionar el Mayor Tara, que es lo de Sheridan Celebrate.
And all the events that you're putting together for the community of Sheridan, as the mayor said, the recent event that just happened.
De Sheridan Celebrates, que eso trae a toda la comunidad de Sheridan, a todos los miembros de Sheridan, a que se conozcan unos a otros. Por eso somos una comunidad pequeña y súper unida por todas esas oportunidades que nos dan ustedes de estar juntos.
Sheridan Celebrates brought together all the community. We are a small community, but we're united, and it just brings the community together.
Y gracias también a otro programa de la academia. Gracias, Chief Martinez, porque eso nos ha hecho tener mucha confianza en todos ustedes. Sabemos que están haciendo un trabajo espectacular y muchas gracias por estar aquí representándonos y por estar tan unidos a la comunidad de Sheridan.
And thank you, Chief Martinez, for these amazing projects that you're bringing to the community. I mean, it's giving us more trust. We're trusting more in you, and everything that you're bringing to the community is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know why it turned off completely. We started a new one. Gotcha. They said they started a new one.
I don't know if we should pass off from one person on the list to another.
Is there a American Patriot PR anywhere on that list by chance?
No, not yet, so take a seat, okay? All right, we'll move on to Curry's letter.
Hi, thanks for the time here. I didn't Is that how mics work? Thanks for the time. I did not think that I would get emotional tonight. There's so many citizens of Sheridan coming out and speaking out, and I was worried I was going to be the only one coming here because there's no money involved in coming and saying thank you for what you've done. I really appreciate everything all of you have done. Thank you, all of you, especially you, Chief Martinez. Thank you so much for what you have done. All the programs are fantastic. The Sheridan Night Out really brings the community together, as does Sheridan Celebrates. The amount of work put into that. If people knew how very little money, next to no money, because there's so many volunteers involved in that, they would be shocked at the work that's gone into this. Other things that I've loved to thank the city for. I love the way that you've worked out the recycling. You've done the carrot instead of the stick. You make the recycling free, and that way it encourages people to do it. I think there could be a little more education for some people who don't know what things can be recycled and how to prepare those items before they're recycled. And there might even be some people out there who don't realize they could get an additional second can for free for recycling, that all of that's free. So I'd love to see more stuff like that. I'm really glad to hear about the sustainability programs. Those are fantastic. It's great forward thinking. We really appreciate that. Also, slide up here. I know you get probably nothing but complaints about photo radar, but I appreciate it. And there's just one weird trick I would love to tell people about that they probably don't realize that can help you fool the photo radar, and that is if you go the speed limit. It can't get you. I know it's my own idea, but it really works. Because I haven't gotten a ticket somehow, magically. But I would love to see more, because I think when people see it on one side, they're like, oh, my side's clear, and you just see them speed up. It'd be great if there's a second one there, so they realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't just race through the school zone while kids are trying to cross the street. So, thank you so much for those. Please don't let negative comments get to you. Know who your citizens are. Know that don't let the charlatans get to you when you have sincere citizens who really care about what you do. Keep your armor up and know that people love you and they love what you're doing. So, thank you so much.
Next we have Todd Benson.
Grab some more.
My name is Todd Van Sant. I live at 3650 South Federal Boulevard. First off, I want to kind of show the difference between the people that you represent. Those are the people using their real names and their real addresses. They're not hiding behind pseudonyms or screen names. These are the people that appreciate you. As you hear, the people who live in your city, they love what you do. So don't let the people who don't live in your city, the people who don't even live in your state or your country, bring you in. Those are the people that are doing their best to get into between you guys and into you guys. I both live in the city of Sheridan and I work in the city of Sheridan. I'm an executive at a veterans organization here in the city of Sheridan. I'm a veteran. And I have fellow veterans with me in the room, and we support you. It's not all veterans that are against you. We do love what you do. We love that you represent us. And we take great pride in representing the city of Sheridan. So, from the chief, the city manager, city clerk, all of you guys do a great service for us. We are the ones who elected you here. We are the only ones that can take you out of here. We love you, we respect you, keep doing the good work that you're doing. That's all I have. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
How are we doing on time for a half hour?
We have 8 minutes and 13 seconds.
Okay. We'll call up Gary B.
Thank you for letting me address you guys tonight. I'm not a citizen of Sheridan, but I feel like I am. I work down here, I spend my hard-earned money down here, I have fun down here. We appreciate the safety that's in the area. Unfortunately, I don't live down here, but I appreciate all the safety, the equalism, the, what's the other word I'm looking for? Sustainability of the city of Sheridan. You guys have supported my organizations down here. You supported the safety of the shoppers down here, the banking down here. I just wish maybe you could move up north a little bit. That may be to come. Chief, I really appreciate the job you have to do. You're got a tough job. You watch these videos on YouTube about I got the right to film in public. Well, you do, but you don't have the right to impose upon the public worker in such a manner that they can't do their jobs. The city manager, I appreciate what you can do to get the other cities around you to work together. If we could all do that, I am sure that the communities that we live in the fund that we have together would do nothing but grow, and there would be no hate among us. Thank you.
Start
the clock.
Excuse me, sir, you're using the time.
Start the clock.
Come on. I would like to just give my general, I guess just general comments. I like to hear things about the Constitution. I like to hear that there are veterans that are here, and I myself am one, and that they they have positive things to say. I will say this. Those who are around me might have seen this. This Pledge of Allegiance is the first time that I stood respectfully that I have not said the words of that, because I'm not going to make a pledge in front of people who I honestly believe it's lip service. It's casting pearls before swines. What I've seen of the attempt to silence the public, and the public is everyone here, not just the people that live in Sheridan, it's everyone. That's why it's not a Sheridan residence meeting, it's a public meeting. People who do business in Sheridan, the gentleman with the bonsai development, I don't know that he lives in Sheridan, but he's benefiting from the people who do business here, who pay taxes here, and who transit between the two, buying gas or other, making use of other public services. And when it appears to everyone that you are allowing a out-of-control police department and an out-of-control public or city manager to simply scroll words on the paper and have people arrested, I don't believe you are honoring your pledge to the Constitution. The only people, or I can name a few people who can write things down, and people are arrested, and they're in dictatorships around the world.
Amen.
Kim Jong-un. I can go on. That's not the way that things should operate here. The city of Sheridan should fulfill public records requests. They should follow the law, and whether by direct adherence to the law, or even if it's in the spirit of following the law, doing the best you can in the spirit of following the law. Like, look, I may not have to do this in a certain amount of time, or give them a little bit, give them exactly all these records, but I know that they want them, and there's no reason not to, so I'm going to follow the spirit of the law and give the record. I just don't see that. And that's, because of that, I stood respectfully silent during the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm a 26-year military veteran, and that's the first time I've ever done that.
Thank you.
How are we doing on time?
2 minutes.
Okay, well, it's not enough for anyone else, so we're gonna stop for tonight. We'll adjourn the meeting at 8:03 PM. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yeah, the guy in the blues the one that said he was gonna use the,
Which guy? Which is the Second Amendment guy?
he was gonna use the Second Amendment.
He said he was an activist back in the 70s.
Why are you asking?
Hey. About the time.
Hey, what are you doing, lady?
Oh, I'm standing in front of your
No, you
camera.
just bumped into her. You can't do that.
I'm
That's
You
harassment,
just
ma'am.
bumped
That's
into her.
harassment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the most privileged human being that's
You
got that on tape, too.
That's harassment, ma'am, unwanted touch. You can't put your hands on people, ma'am.
On your camera.
You can't touch our cameras. You cannot touch them. That's against the law. Yes, you did. You bumped right into her, ma'am. Unacceptable. Yes, you did. Don't touch her.
I'm trying to walk on your camera. You just stepped on my foot and my camera. Oh, you stepped on.
Don't touch my camera, lady.
I didn't touch.
Yes, you did. You stepped on my camera. What's wrong with you? That's against the law.
All right, meeting's over. The meeting is over. Everybody please leave the building. The meeting is over.
Don't bump into me.
How much money
Don't
did you get from